All right, and just give it a
We're
sec,
live.
Rick. Just give it a sec, just only because I just went live. So,
Unmuted.
hello, everybody.
And hello, everybody.
All right, so there we go. So, hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Mikestand. I hope everybody's having a good week thus far, as we've of course reached Hump Week, or I'm sorry, not Hump Week, Hump Day. um, of course, tonight I have Rick Piper back with me. This will be the second of three times he's going to be here this week. Rick, you want to give a bit of an intro, promote anything, share any links?
Well,
Go for it.
I'm Rick Piper of Cross Comics. Of course, I have my own comic company. I'm in the middle of getting things done for another issue of that, but there's nothing live for me. So I think what I'll promote at the moment is I have some buddies or a friend that is a friend of the channel too. Chris Timolovich, he over on Fund My Comic has a book called The Great Cyclopean Issue 7. So if people want to go over there and check it out, I don't have the link handy, so and my computer may or may not let me go get it, so I don't want to end up leaving Mike. So hopefully people
All
can
right.
find it easy enough.
All right. Well, with that being said, so tonight, of course, we're going to go, as per usual during the week here, go over some niche news, wrestling wrap up, and also the this day in each history. So, with all that being said, why don't we go ahead and get ourselves started then here? Let me just pull up. Um, just got one article. We might do more depending upon how fast we get through this one. As soon as I get to the actual thing here, you know. But the one article we're going to focus on tonight, at least starting off here, is this one right here, which I was going to try to do last night, but we just ran short on time. Now, as always, guys, if you haven't already, if you guys can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. If anything, um, yeah, feel free to comment and or ask questions. We'll try to answer the questions to the best of our ability. But with that, we're gonna go ahead and get started here. Let's get into this article. Oh, and we have Goodnight Spoon here. Hello, Goodnight Spoon. Let's
Yeah,
see. Well, Rick,
Rick,
I
I
think this is more
apologize.
directed at you. So if you want to go ahead and
He just
read
says,
this.
Rick, I apologize for my inappropriate comment last night. I was drugged and should have stayed home. Okay, I'm not sure exactly which inappropriate comment you're talking about. You said an inappropriate comment?
Was that I guess
Yeah.
on your show last night?
On
I
my
guess.
show. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Oh yeah. So, anyways, so let's get into this. And as always, to everybody, again, if anything here we talk about grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and we will try to answer the questions to the best of our ability. So, with that, so I can find the cursor here. All right. So let's get into this. So, stuttering writer creates comic about the disorder, then gets political. Article by Avi Green, published February 20th, 2024, which of course was yesterday, and that's her right there. And she's got a
Oh,
book
yeah.
there on her desk from somebody named Jonty Claypole. Uh, Words fail us.
Words fail us.
All right, so Pasadena Now published an article about a writer who's suffered the problem of stuttering and is launching a comic about the subject and her experiences. Now, Pasadena, I'm not sure if this is a newspaper in Pasadena, California or Pasadena, Texas, but I guess it's Pasadena, California, because it says she's a
Could it
Burbank
be
native.
Florida? Or is that Pasadena in Florida?
Well,
I might be thinking of
I only know of two Pasadenas, and one's in California and one's in Texas. But I
uh
guess huh?
might be a different city or whatever that I'm thinking of. Good Night Spoon says I have no idea either, but I assume since I didn't remember what I said, it was inappropriate.
Hmm.
I didn't know that stuttering was is a problem. Well, it's a problem sometimes for the people that are trying that have it that try and talk.
Mm-hmm.
There are people with a stuttering disorder that they constantly do it or have it, but
Right.
hey,
And
who
then
cares?
JR, hey JR, hail Xenu and Xena, our only true savior. So, anyways,
Yes, hey JR.
let's get into this article here. Maya Chupkoff, a Burbank native and the innovative mind behind the Proud Stutter podcast, is making waves with her latest endeavor, a comic book dedicated to shedding light on the stuttering experience. Um, all right. So she's a Burbank native, so Pasadena, California, then. All right.
Oh yeah.
Krupkoff, alongside Proud Stutter's board member, Julian Benavides, an illustrator Indy Ho, um, aims to liberate and represent the stuttering community through this unusual medium. The self-published comic book titled, quote, My Stutter, Life of Verbal Turbulence, unquote, will be unveiled at a launch at Octavia's Bookshelf in Pasadena on February 12th at 6 p.m. So,
Well, that's already
uh,
happened then. Like,
yeah, yeah, I guess Avi's covering the article here. The article probably happened like probably a month ago or so, and I guess he's covering it. This is all from the article he's referencing. The event will bring together people from the Los Angeles stuttering community to share their stories and experiences. Growing up feeling isolated and ashamed of her speech, Chupkoff's journey from avoiding situations that might expose her stutter to becoming a beacon of hope for others like her is nothing short of inspiring. Her
I would
transformation.
agree.
What was that?
I just said I would agree about it being inspiring.
Yeah. Well, as long as you just try to continue living your life and you don't let the obstacles get in your way, keep pushing forward, keep moving forward. That's a big thing right there. Um, Her transformation began during the solitude of the pandemic, when she sought a creative outlet to cope with job dissatisfaction and depression.
Okay, let's see. Goodnight Spoon says it's a thing that people experience, sure, but I don't know that it is a problem. Seems like a characteristic or something to develop on. See, if it was a problem, why would they make a community based on it? Well, it's a characteristic. Yeah,
Yeah, well, I mean
somewhat
that with there are a lot of disabilities that have communities
community.
in them or have organizations devoted to, empowering those with that disability. You know, like
Yeah,
you know, like for example, I myself I have three milder disabilities that for me create a greater disability because granted the three of them individually are not a big deal. I have a mild form of cerebral palsy on my left side, a clubfoot on my right, and I'm also on the spectrum. I'm autistic, but all
yeah,
three of those in my case are all on the milder end of things. But because I have three milder ones, sometimes it's not one thing that will get you. Sometimes it's the cumulative effect of many things that can get you. That's basically what's
yeah.
going on with this. but I don't let it stop me, right?
Yeah.
Right, Rick?
Um, yeah. Well, as a problem, you might say, alcoholism can be a problem, but there's a community for those people who seek help to overcome it.
Hmm.
I guess you would have a community to maybe overcome or deal with living with a stuttering impairment. Um,
Finding people in a similar situation to help to support each
yeah,
other, and empower each other. Right?
yeah, yeah, something along that lines. Although I'm sure there's some that don't get involved in that community, although, you know,
Yeah,
they have the problem.
as with any social experience, it comes also back to personality too. Some people just prefer to be, kind of just left alone.
Yeah.
but most human beings are social creatures. Um, there is a stuttering community. Press X to doubt. Oh, he was quite asking if. Yeah. Well, I mean, as I said, there for many disabilities there are
Yeah,
communities.
I think communities get built around anything that different people have. Some people have something in common. You know,
All right, so
sometimes it's about a problem people have. Sometimes it's about not a problem people have.
mhm. All right. So, anyways, getting back to the article here.
Article.
Yeah. Um, so back to Avi here. While the subject certainly has value, they also talk about something that unfortunately represents an example of dragging politics into the mix. And then going back to the article here, Tupac's roots in the Los Angeles area,
Hold
feel
on.
her passion. Oh, what was that?
Good night, Spoon says. I was going to say, Good night, Spoon says. Are you saying the anti-alcohol hall community and Alcoholics Anonymous is pro-alcohol? No, I am not saying that.
No, obviously, Alcoholics
Uh,
Anonymous is for those who it's a peer group that's basically designed to help those who are suffering from alcoholism find support within each other. Having people be
how
accountable to
to
one
stop
another
drinking.
when they struggle, right? And to
Yeah.
celebrate when they succeed. When they hit
Yes, but
milestones of sobriety.
you gotta remember, Goodnight Spoon knows all that. He's just teasing me.
Hmm. Yeah, but Rick,
JR says,
you've seen me enough. You've talked to me and known me enough time. I'm one of those who takes everything pretty seriously. It's
yeah, yeah.
and Jr.
JR's,
Go ahead, Rick. If you want to read
I
this, go ahead.
was, I was just gonna say, does she form a community with OnlyFans channels where she stutters? I don't know. Probably not. Anyway,
Hmm.
so let's try and get through some of this before another comment comes up.
Yeah. So back to the article here. So Chupkoff's roots in the Los Angeles area fuel her passion for community building and advocacy. She believes the visibility of prominent figures who stutter, such as President Joe Biden, has significantly contributed to changing perceptions of stuttering. But I'm not sure if Biden's really a stutterer, though.
Yeah,
Some people,
well, I would say that at one point he was never a stutterer. I think he's become somewhat of a stutterer and not purposely or whatever, or not that you would do it purposely, but I think it's more due to his inability to be able to think properly because, in
mhm,
my opinion, he most likely has either dementia or Alzheimer's,
Alzheimer's,
as of some degree. So
yeah.
they put him out there, and his mind goes blank. His handlers.
Mm.
The guy should
Well,
probably
like
not be
with me,
president
it
of
may
the
sound like I
states.
stutter sometimes, but it's only because I'm in between thought. I'm trying to figure out which thought to get out, but
Yeah,
but and that can happen too. Sometimes you have too much going on in your head. You can't organize it fast enough, so it makes it sound like you stutter. But um, her efforts combined her efforts combined with the comic book launch aim to continue this momentum, fostering a more inclusive and understanding community in Los Angeles and beyond.
I think lots of people are very understanding of that stuttering thing. It's been around for a while. Yes, some people jokingly make fun of it, but they also get it that it can be a problem that um, people can't control. I know my dad shared a few stories of a friend that he had when he was younger that had a stuttering problem, and the
Mm.
guy didn't make a big deal out of it. Neither did any of his peers. Maybe they might tease him every so often, but even he joked around about it.
Mm.
There was one time my dad was telling a story about that they were out and about, and he was trying to order a Coke, but because of his
You're
stuttering
reverbing a
problem, he
little bit
couldn't
there, Rick.
really sorry, but because of his disability, he couldn't really get out the word Coke, so he just said more. He said the real word. He said, "F it, just give me a Pepsi." And then, of course, there's been a recent movie, probably about 10 years back, with what's his name? Oh, the one King of England, um, Queen Elizabeth. Queen Elizabeth.
Charles? Prince Charles?
No, no, before Charles. His mom's dad.
Oh, Philip?
Yeah, I think that it was
Oh,
Philip. He had a stuttering problem.
all right. Well, we do have a few more comments here. I just came in. Let's see.
Yeah, The
Another
King's
comment.
Speech. That's the movie.
Yeah. Um, and then Goodnight Spoon saying, I think she's conflating stuttering with disflu- uh, uh,
His
disfluences.
fluencies.
Disfluencies. Um, President Biden has been an advocate for the children sniffing committee as well as heroic work. Ed Norton,
That's right.
the King's Speech,
And that's the movie they're talking about. This movie about the guy, about
yeah,
it, and
George the Fifth.
the King's. Yeah,
All right. So, anyways, getting back to the article then. So,
and that
so
was a
then,
good movie, The King's Speech.
yeah. So this Avi speaking again here. I thought Biden's problem is that he makes only so many gaffes, along with his disastrous left wing politics of policies, of course. And then they have the sheer audacity to bring up that fishy line about quote unquote inclusiveness again, which is left wing code for mandatory quantity instead of quality.
Good Night Spoon says, I thought you were talking about the movie Ed Norton stutters in. No, no. Not sure what movie that is offhand. And then he says Primal Fear, I think, which I guess is the
All right.
movie that he thinks it is. I
All right.
can't say I've
So,
heard of it, but I wouldn't be opposed to watching it. Unless you think it's really, really bad. And then it might still be.
and then here so then and I guess this is the finish of the article here. So that Avi, I think the subject matter of vocal speech is an important one, and publishing comics about it is also a great idea. But this political stuff dampens the impact of the news, and worse, it sounds only so forced. When they talk about Biden stuttering, when it's actually more a matter of whether he's made gaffes, tying this in with politics doesn't help the subject. And if the comic spotlights um, that, it won't either. Yeah, I would agree with Avi's
Eh,
reasoning there. I mean,
Yeah.
okay, if focus the book on her experiences on stuttering, that's a good thing, and I think everybody would stand up and applaud that. But if
Yeah,
you try to get preachy in there, or you try to like force
yeah,
certain agendas or force certain mindsets
yeah,
on people, then it's people are not going to want to read the book. They're going
yeah,
to just skim
yeah,
over what you're actually trying
yeah.
to say, and you try to sprinkle in
That
agendas in
that
there.
said, that said, although with the little bit that was said about Biden, I think it's her opinion and what she's probably liberal, so she's
Mm,
covering up the Biden's not making gaps, he's stuttering, he's just got this problem. I don't think she probably conflates, and I could be wrong, obviously. I don't think she probably puts any of that in the book necessarily. I think it was just a way to her expressing an opinion when she was asked some sort of question or something like that. I forget the context of the statement, although we just read
mm,
it like 2 minutes ago.
right. All right.
But
So yeah,
that
so
was
we actually went through that pretty a little quicker than we did the article the other night. So I think I
yeah.
am going to try. I think I am going to try at least one more article here.
Well, this
Um,
wasn't a long article, and there wasn't really a lot of commentary on it. Yeah, we made a couple things, but
but
and of
yeah,
course,
and it's kind of interesting in that that Avi can be a bit lengthy at times with his writing style. But anyways, here's another one. This one might be a little longer, ironically, but here we
and
go. So, and this one
Goodnight
happened
Spoon.
today. Oh, go
Goodnight
ahead.
Spoon, I believe, is saying the Primal Fear movie it's iconic. Okay,
All right.
you
Yeah.
say so. Or I believe that's what he was referring to by saying it's iconic based on my statements of not having seen it, and I'd be
Right.
up to watching it.
All right. So, um, in some respects, this might actually be a follow up um, to a story we did earlier, maybe in the week or something. Scholastic book fairs promoting transgender comics to school children. So there's another article revolving around the idea of propagandizing children, basically. Um, basically, um, so article by Chris Braley published earlier today. So let's get into this.
Okay, one sec before we get on with this. Goodnight Spoon says I think it's more about our comments on the last article. I think the thing people tend to fall into falsely is over identifying with people. You admire you admire and under identifying with people they deem problematic.
Hmm.
Yeah, I would agree.
Even though I think Rick, I don't know if you would agree with me on this, but just my observation of human behavior, I think we have a little bit of everything in all of us. I think you know
Yeah, we
um,
have good, bad, in between.
mm, so. Anyways, let's get into this article then. All right, so like most people, you probably have fond memory. Oh, before I go on, let me just remind everybody: if you haven't already, if you guys can like and share the stream, get some more appreciated. Also, as we go through these articles and all that, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and we will try to answer the questions to the best of our ability. So, with that being said, let's
Uh,
get into the article.
yeah, as they are already doing, which is good.
Right. Yeah.
And thank you for
Like
that,
most
people.
like most people, you probably have fond memories as a child of the annual Scholastic book fairs.
I
It
would say
was
I don't. I would say I don't because they never happened here in Canada. I don't think that's a thing here in Canada.
right. It's probably more here in the states, but um, it was something fun and new and different from the usual daily routine at school. Yeah, because they would usually happen during school hours. An event where you could find new and exciting books to devour. Sadly, that is no longer the era we live in now that radical leftists have apparently hijacked Scholastic. Um, and I don't say that lightly. A new book
Uh,
that instructs. Oh, go ahead.
oh, just Goodnight Spoon says he does have fond memories, and that I missed out. Lots of Magic Eye books, he says.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, there were always interesting books to read. I mean, the Scholastic book fairs, at least what the idea was to get kids to read more, right?
Yeah,
So, of course, they would bring in a lot of these books that, that were specifically designed to encourage more reading, you know. Um,
yeah.
anyways,
Anyways,
getting back to the article here. Let's see. And I don't. Okay. A new book that instructs kids on how to transition to the opposite gender was recently released called Welcome to Saint Hell My Trans Teen Misadventure. Available to school age children since they came back from summer break last year. Okay. Welcome to Saint Hell My Trans Teen Misadventure. I don't know, Rick. To
well,
me, that there's something a little bit problematic with that. I don't know.
yeah.
What would you
Well,
say about that?
I get the sort of hell part because they probably don't mean it literally. It's like sometimes you say your life is hell. Sometimes you're in a bit of hell because things are not going quite right in your life or whatever. I think that's obviously what they mean it by because of the real connotations of hell.
And they're
You
saying
know,
that this being passed up to school age children. Like, are they talking about like real young school age children? Because if that's the case, I think no, you shouldn't be handing that
yeah,
kid book out. But like, you
yeah,
know,
and again, it depends on what grade. Not that myself, I'd like to see that in the schools, but okay. Anyways, we get a couple more comments from the the peanut gallery. Okay, so lots of magic eye books. Read that and how to perform magic. I don't think I ever bought an educational book from the fair, said Goodnight Spoon. It might have been a failure. JR says totally scholastic book fairs happened in Canada. I remember buying R.L. Stevenson's The Black Arrow, Disney's The Black Hole, and Raiders of the Lost Ark were three of my favorite books at the
oh
Scholastics.
yeah, I do remember. I do remember from when I was a kid too. Jr. kind of reminded me that yes, Disney had um, they had
Yeah.
actually published a series of books um,
Okay.
based on some of their animated movies. Like I remember there were like books of like classic animated movies like Cinderella, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, um, all that. So
Yeah. Well, all I can say is I don't remember going to any of those book fairs. I know JR said I think he grew up in Ontario, so I don't know. It's maybe in Hamilton they didn't have them. I don't know, but or maybe the schools I was going to didn't.
so
I don't know. I don't know why I didn't get
yeah.
any or go to any,
Good
or I
night
don't
spoon was
remember.
saying Rick no, and then
Places
places.
can't be saints. Yeah, well, it could also stand for ST could stand for street as well. ST has a lot of is short for a few things, Saint, Street, and I know there's probably a couple.
I like pop up books. Yeah, there were a lot of those are popular at those school fairs too.
Yeah.
Pop up
I
books.
had a couple pop-up books. I had one of Tron, the original Tron movie.
Yeah, and then yeah, they came to every school every year. So came to school every year.
I
So
don't know how I missed it then, but I didn't. I don't remember them ever being there.
all right. So anyways, back to the um. Let's get back to the
And of
article
course, I'm not
here.
saying that. Of course, I'm not saying JR's lying or anything. I'm just saying I don't remember.
Yeah. This book contains explicit adult material, promotes puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones, and generally pushes transitioning as a positive decision for children. Yeah, I don't think pushing that on children is the right thing to do. You know, one thing once they become an adult, if that's what they want to do, then all the power to them. But pushing that on kids, no,
Yeah. Good Night Spoon says Rick grew up in a bunker.
no. It
Oh, a
says
book
Rick
burner. Rick
grew
grew
up
up as a
as
book
a
burner.
book burner.
All the schools I went to had libraries. I know that, and I took up books from the library at schools. I don't know how I read bunker, but I did.
Bunker. Well, no, he wrote burner. Look right there. He wrote.
Yeah, but I said bunker instead of burner.
Yeah.
So my bad.
All right. So, anyways, so we did. Here are some pages from the book. All right. Do we really need to see that? No.
Oh yeah, and of course you got to show the guy with a beer belly.
All right. So, and that's not the worst of it. This kind of material is promoting explicit adult content and self harm to children through inappropriate imagery and promoting trans ideology to children, telling them they can take hormones and medically transition into the opposite sex. Of course, the and it's kind of funny because I was bringing it. It's in this awesome. This in some ways it's kind of, even though it's more on kind of a slant aspect of it, but this kind of reminds me of something I was talking with Apex about last night when we were covering the one article we were talking about. And again, I think it was having to do similar situation with the idea of pushing um, sex on kids, um, or sexual, situations and all that.
Yeah,
I was remembering a Seventh Heaven episode, which Annie was sitting with Lucy and Ruthie. Ruthie was wanting to go to this concert dressed, granted at the time, Ruthie scared, played by Mackenzie Rothman. She was like about 8 to 10 years old, yet she was dressing very provocatively, and her mother was just, no, you're not dressing like that. And she was like, and
yeah,
we sat down with the two of them. The episode revolved around the whole idea of respecting women, and through both speech
yeah,
and and it was a pretty cool scene because it was like a mother talking to her daughters about having self respect and being um, and at one point Annie asked Ruthie, "Well, why do you want to dress that way?" And Ruthie responds, "Because it makes me feel sexy." And then Annie responds, "Do you know what the word sexy means?" Ruthie goes, "No." And then Annie responds, "Well, don't you think you should know that before dressing that way?" And then it kind of clicked. It's like,
yeah,
but part of it was the idea was that women should be able to wear anything they want, including a t-shirt and shorts, if they want to out in public. The only problem
yeah,
is that there are people out there who will think that if a woman is wearing something that exposes a good chunk of her body, then it must mean that she wants to engage. If you get what I mean.
yeah.
Um, but that was the whole gist of the conversation
Good night.
there.
And Good Night Spoon says that art looks sus.
Yeah. Well, that's why I didn't really stick around on it too much there, because I didn't think any of us really wanted to see it. probably not something
Yeah, but
anybody.
I think in reading the article, we should have taken a quicker glance at it. But that's as much as I don't really want to look at it, but
Right.
just to so we can see what it's showing, sort of see what it's showing exactly.
Of course, the book is critically acclaimed by the mainstream comic book press and heavily marketed towards elementary and high school age kids. So they're marketing this book towards elementary age kids. Again,
Now,
I
now
find
by
something very problematic about.
elementary, well, they say elementary and high school. To
It
me,
probably means
elementary
that
is
high school is like ninth through 12th, and then below ninth grade, basically 13 and under would be considered, or under 13 be, I think, considered elementary. You know, um,
yeah. Well, I'm just saying by my perspective, elementary is grades like 1 through 5, and then 6, 7, and 8 is middle school.
right.
So if they're missing a whole, do they
Well,
mean
yeah,
like one through five?
some schools, and in fact, my local school district was this way for a long time, where elementary went up through seventh grade, and high school started at eighth grade. So,
Yeah.
and then
For me,
there is a slight difference between middle school and junior high, because middle school is, as you said, 6, 7, 8. But from what I understand, junior high was 7, 8, 9, seventh, eighth, and ninth grades.
yeah.
So, um, but anyways, um, the author, who goes by the name Lewis Hancock, is a female to male transgender activist that's been featured in the Channel 4 series My Transsexual Summer. Oh boy. And co created a film project about trans people called My Generation. Okay. In addition to being the author's memoir and very first book, it was also nominated for an Eisner Award. Here's more from the book.
Hold on before we go to that, since we don't want to get stuck on it for anything. Goodnight Spoon says, I agree. We should all strive to end the objectification of women, yeah, and the sexualization of clothes. JR says, I want to see it not just make ideologues words for what it's worth. We consider middle school just 7 and 8 grades. Dang it, JBT
JBT.
owns ideologue.
Huh.
Yeah. Well, I know JR for here in Hamilton, anyways. All our middle schools consisted of grade 6, 7, and 8. I don't know about anywhere else, but here,
Well, there are parts here in the United States that are like that too, Rick. You know,
yeah,
there are some parts in the United States where elementary is basically K through 5, and then middle school is 6, 7, 8, and then high school is 9 through 12, and then there's some parts that where elementary is K through 6, junior high is 7 through 9, and senior high school, as they sometimes call it, or high school, is 10 through 12. So, you know, but anyways, it just, I guess, depends upon where you live, I guess. Anyways,
yeah.
Scholastic Nonfiction and Media began publishing the book in June of 2022. It's marketed
Uh,
under the cat. Oh, go ahead, Rick. You about to say?
Goodnight Spoon says he has a question. You don't have to say you have a question, Goodnight Spoon. Just ask it, and hopefully one of us will see it and we'll get around to it. You don't have to say it. Just ask. At
Yeah,
least for this chat.
right. The general
Even
idea
in
is
mine.
the general idea I try to strive for, Goodnight Spoon, is that we're having a conversation as we're going through this. So if you have as I've said before, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and we will try to answer them to the best of our ability. So with all
Goodnight
that,
Spoon says, I do as I please, Rick.
Yeah. So,
And then he's
alrighty then.
watching me.
All right.
Anyways, it's marketed.
Yeah. As soon as I can pull that screen back up so I can start read. So let's see. It's marketed under the category of children's comics and graphic novels on Amazon. The author has also written a follow up entitled Escape from Saint. Usually it's, that's usually Saint when it's put like that, but Saint Hell, which is described as a book that, quote, charts all the changes that Lou um, wanted to be made in order for him to live as a young trans man. Changes not just to his own body and perspective, but to the perspectives of the family, friends, and enemies around him.
Okay. Anyways, Goodnight says if you can't get a job without a college degree, why is college not included with K through 12, or why is it necessary education not covered
Well,
in
because
K through 12?
that's simple. College, by the time you get to college, you're considered an adult. And yes, and even though we know that indoctrination does go all the way up through colleges, through the major universities, even into the grad schools, okay, because they're still
Well,
impact. Because even though 18 to 21-year-olds or 18 to 25-year-olds are considered adults by this point, they're still fairly young and they're still
yeah.
fairly impressionable. So it's like,
Well, the thing is, first of all, I'd say you can get a job without a college degree. It is possible. It's maybe harder.
yeah.
It
Well, but
depends
but
on
also
depends on
the types of jobs that are for those who don't have the college are a lot less. They're usually more mid level or lower, or
Yeah,
more menial
that
jobs.
I could agree with. But also the thing is, I think it's a money grabbing situation too. And there was at one time you didn't need a college education to get a job either, for sure. You could get most jobs without a college education, but nowadays they, just to climb a tree and cut off some branches, they want you to have some sort of college education and whatever that job is, or
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. They want
or
you to have some kind of degree in environmental sciences because what they want you to know as you're cutting down that tree, they want you to understand how that affects climate change and all and environmental issues and how oh
I'm even talking before all this stuff came up, and that's like I was just using that as an example because I remember like I don't know 20 years ago, maybe more. I applied for I forget what the job was called, but basically you're going up the tree to cut off branches or whatever to cover it down. I guess in a sense a log
mhm,
lumberjack, a tree cutter, I think it was called or whatever. It's
mhm, yeah,
why do I need 50, 2 or 3 years of experience to start a job like this? It's yes, I need to learn some things about how to work the feet going up or the strap thing,
yeah,
but like it's cutting a tree.
mhm,
I think it's fairly self-explanatory for 90% of it.
yeah. Transitional position, sure. Um, all I see is blank degree or equivalent experience for entry level. Yeah. So, anyways, getting back to the article here, Hancock says, "quote I wanted readers to emphasize or empathize with the other people around me. I also want the book to be for parents, teachers, and friends. I wanted to show the struggles and how they ended up learning to accept me." Unquote. When asked about the ending of the book being at the clinic where Hancock is a teen girl beginning her transition, Lewis says, quote, I had to take it to the point of my first testosterone injection. that's what my whole book was building to. I remember thinking, this is it now. This is literally the start of my physical transition. This isn't the first controversial and inappropriate material Scholastic has made available to school libraries. Last year, Scholastic issued a press release in response several parents complaining about a video that a school librarian had shared on TikTok about a shipment of quote unquote diverse titles she was very upset about not receiving.
Good night, Spoon says Rick. Hey Rick, have you learned to accept me? And then I'm not sure what the next word is. Your yet. I've accepted you a long time ago.
Hmm. Scholastic responded saying, quote, in order to protect, quote, teachers, libraries, and volunteers, unquote, who work in states with laws about critical race theory and discussion of LGBTQ plus issues in schools from being, quote, fired, sued, or prosecuted, unquote, it had created an, quote unquote, additional collection called Share Every Story, Celebrate Every Voice, unquote, while maintaining that there are still, quote, diverse titles throughout every book fair for every age level, unquote. Scholastic later discontinued the quote unquote share every story option, but they have not removed titles like Welcome to St. Hell and other quote unquote transpositive books for children, unquote. Um,
Good night, Spoon says it's such a hostile statement. I thought it was amusing to call it out.
hmm, uh, all right.
What was a hostile statement?
Hmm,
Anyways, on with the rest.
yeah. Before Scholastic consolidated the national book school book fair market in the 90s, there were other choices. Concerned teachers and parents have been asking for other options for book fairs, and now it seems an alternative is rising to the occasion. Former TV star and Christian activist Kirk Cameron, of course, Kirk Cameron of Growing Pains fame, and of course the older brother of Candace Cameron Bure, um,
From the Full
from
House
Full House,
and Fuller House.
and Fuller House, right? Has decided to provide an alternative for school age kids and wants to get rid of Scholastic, and to do so, he is starting a new book fair organization. It's called Skytree, and as one of its board advisors, Cameron intends to make family-friendly book fairs affordable to schools. Quote,
Cool.
Scholastic holds a virtual monopoly on school book fairs. Like many of our cultural institutions in the last decade, Scholastic has fallen prey to the woke mob and radical LGBT political agenda, unquote, says Cameron. Quote, Skytree will bring back wholesome content to kids like what we had growing up. Kids should remain innocent and have content to encourage their moral character while fostering their imagination. I, Rick, what do you think of that statement?
Very true. Very true. We agree with
I,
it
I
wholeheartedly.
agree with it. I generally agree with it. You know, kids don't need this the stuff Scholastic's trying to put down their throat.
Good Night Spoon says that his or her family and friends had to learn to accept her kind of like they're not voluntarily something at least. Um, okay, don't remember. saying that or anything of the
All right.
sort. I'd say I didn't, but I don't think I did. I don't know.
All right. Cameron continues.
Anyways,
Quote, since my journey across the country providing more wholesome children's content in public libraries, I've realized that there's more work to be done. Partnering with Skytree gives me the opportunity to make positive impact within our hurting educational system. Let's build up a strong and healthy generation inspired by wholesome reading, unquote. Scholastic,
the next one says kids need to learn to accept her.
what was that?
Okay. Oh, Goodnight Spoon says kids need to learn to accept her.
Hmm. Hmm. Scholastic, due to the monopolization of the market, distributes books for pennies on the dollar, crowding out small book fair companies. Skytree Book Fairs, a 501c3 not for profit organization, hopes to offer schools a different option for book fairs by providing schools, parents, and children with an empowering alternative with literature rooted in truth and family values that matches the quality and ease of Scholastic while countering their progressive political agenda. When even the
Okay.
president, oh, go ahead, Rick.
Oh, Goodnight Spoon just says, not you. The article. That's literally what she was quoted as saying about her loved ones. Oh, okay, okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I was kind of getting a little confused on what Goodnight Spoon was saying too there, but I didn't want to say anything about it as of yet. Um, when even the president of the American Library Association is publicly identifying herself as a quote unquote Marxist, an ideology whose central tenet is a dismantling of the quote nuclear family structure, unquote, an alternative like Skytree couldn't come at a better time. Learn more about the book fairs at skytreebookfairs.org.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I'd say too is, do you want a Marxist, which is basically communism,
Okay,
that as the
Marxism is the
president, the
father.
head of
Okay,
your was
Marxism
it
is
there?
Marxism is the father. Socialism and communism are the children. Okay, that's I think the best way to put it. Marxism's the father.
Yeah.
Communism and socialism are the children.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah. It's all entangled. But my point is, do you really you really be having somebody who's a claimed Marxist communist at that point as the head or the president of your library association for all of the states? Which is
Hmm,
what I get what that is from that title. I could be wrong.
hmm.
Nobody gets me, says they will learn to accept me, says Goodnight.
All right. So, anyways, we're actually at the 53-minute mark. So, um, yeah. So that second article took us a little longer than I thought it might. But anyway, so I think now would be a good time to start winding things down a bit. So we're gonna. There were both socialists and communists before Marx. Hmm. All right. Well,
Yeah, I thought
anyways,
so.
yeah. But anyways,
On to this
so now we're
day
going to
in
move
nature
on to
system.
well, we're going to move on to the wrestling wrap up real quick here before we do
Oh,
that.
okay.
Few little notes about just primarily WWE and WC and AEW news. On the WWE side of things, of course, it was recently reported that Shotzi was injured. She suffered a torn ACL and will probably be out for quite a bit of time, as usually happens with that. She'll be missing out on WrestleMania, so that's probably one of the bigger things. And also now, so one of the other aspects of I know somebody was asking me the other day, and it might have been Goodnight Spoon about the Vince McMahon situation. So one of the other things that's been talked about a little bit lately is before, and I mentioned this too, before her passing, Ashley Massaro had, I guess, made some. So apparently, what happened a few years ago while doing Christmas with the Troops over in Iraq, Ashley Massaro claims that a one of the troops, one of the members of the troops, one of the soldiers, assaulted her.
Yeah.
And basically, when she took it to McMahon, they basically did nothing. She took it to McMahon, and a follow up to that was that so Vince brought in Stephanie to talk to her, feeling that, have the now this is all claiming so somebody who's a former best friend of Ashley Massaro, and her daughter has since come out and stated that that the person came, and this supposed former best friend of Ashley Massaro went on CNN, was saying that this is what she was told by Ashley, how they had Stephanie talk to her, and now Stephanie's facing backlash because they're claiming that Stephanie just kind of helped her to feel comfortable, just so she'd let down her guard to get lambasted in the boardroom, and was told, don't talk about this, because the theory was that Vince did not want to hurt the reputation with the U.S. military, hurt their working relationship with the U.S. military by having this come out. So that's what was all going down there. So
And JR says, "Good night, Rick, Mike, and Golden Spoon." I don't know who Golden Spoon is because maybe he knows somebody named Golden Spoon is lurking in the background.
I think he meant to say good night, Spoon, but I'm
I
going.
know I'm teasing because Good Night Spoon that says I'm golden.
Which one is suing? Well, okay, Ashley Massaro. Well, okay, so Ashley Massaro's lawyers. Well, okay, Ashley Massaro was, I guess, suing him, but the case got dismissed. I think maybe partly because she did eventually die. But the current lawsuit is being brought by Janelle Grant. That's who's bringing the lawsuit now, basically claiming that Vince and John Laurinaitis tried to traffic her out to other people and also assaulted her as well. That's what she's claiming. Still a long ways away from going to court, but
Yeah.
but anyways, so, and then
And
as we said, of course, WWE is also still building everything up towards this Saturday's Elimination Chamber. So we'll talk more about that probably tomorrow night. But with that, there's one piece of AEW news. Well, one piece of AEW news, and then we'll also talk a little bit about what's going on on tonight's Dynamite. So the one piece of as I think I mentioned to you guys before too, Sting will be having his retirement match at AEW's Revolution, which is coming up in a couple weeks here, like March 3rd. I believe it's Sunday, March 3rd. All right. All right. Let's see.
Good
I
Night Spoon
remember
says
a
I'm
story about a
golden.
female rep who was basically assaulted by him and maybe oh well, yeah, that was back in the 80s, and that was back, and that was Rita Christensen. I think you're talking about the first female referee in wrestling history, I believe. She claimed that Vince assaulted her. she took him to court, but he actually won out that case. So, um, but yeah. So, anyways, in the now Sting is going to be having his retirement match at Revolution on March 3rd. He'll be in a match. And right now, he and Darby Allin are the current AEW World Tag Team Champions, having won the title, I believe last week from Ricky Starks and Big Bill. Um, they're set to take on the Young Bucks, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, who are also EVPs of AEW. Um, Sting had wanted to try to get Kevin Nash to come and participate in the show. However, because Nash is under a Legends contract with the WWE, he cannot. He cannot. Not only can he not participate, he can't even be there live. He can't even be in the crowd. Because of course, the Legends contracts lock people who are formerly, particularly very popular stars, they lock them into contracts to keep them from being able to go work for other companies. So Nash is under a Legends contract, therefore he can't
I
even
can't.
appear in the crowd there. He'd like to be there live, but he stated that on his Click This podcast, but he can't because he's under contract. So in essence, the way that people are pitching it, will police be there too? I don't think so because I don't know what you mean by police, but anyways, Kevin Nash um, even pointed this out. So in essence, the WWE is barring him from attending, but they have it in their contract that they can't make appearances for other companies. Even if they're not necessarily actively involved. So, I mean, um, and of course, Hall and Sting, or I'm sorry, Nash and Sting, of course, worked together
Yeah.
quite a bit in WCW and NWA, or not NWA, but TNA rather, back years ago. So now on tonight's Dynamite, a match that was set up, of course, last week after singles match between Dax Harwood and John Moxley. You have FTR of Harwood and his tag partner Cash Wheeler taking on Blackwell Combat Club members Claudio Castagnoli and John Moxley. Orange Cassidy defends the international title against Mike Bennett of the Undisputed Kingdom. Tony Storm will be facing off Tony Storm in preparation for her upcoming World Women's Title match against Deonna Purrazzo at Revolution. Will be taking on Sydney Winnell, while Deonna Purrazzo will be taking on Madison Rayne, which will be Madison Rayne's first wrestling appearance for AEW in a while. She's also been a coach there. And the main event we'll see in a 6-man tag match, Samoa Joe teaming with the Mogul Embassy members of Brian Cage and Swerve Strickland, with Prince Nana in their corner, to take on Hook, Adam Page, and Rob Van Dam. Of course, you have a bunch of different stories going on here, particularly with Samoa Joe defending the AEW World title, which he won back at World's End, defeating MJF. He'll be defending the AEW World title against Swerve Strickland and Hangman Adam Page in a triple threat match. So, and one other little tidbit about the World Tag Title match, that's going to be a Texas Tornado match in which all 4 wrestlers will be in the ring at the same time. So, instead of having to tag in and out.
A
So,
good night spoon said Sting is the lead singer of the Police. Obviously, it's a different Sting, so he was just
oh yeah, okay.
do,
Um,
do some
the
teasing.
thing we're talking about is Steve Borden, the professional wrestler. Yeah, okay, now I get what you're
Yes,
saying. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
you're referencing Gordon Sumner, the lead singer of the Police. Okay, of the band The Police. Okay,
Yes.
uh,
I thought he
he
might have
goes
been
by that
talking about the
name
band, The
as
Police,
well. But
but
so
yeah.
anyway, so with that, that's all I got for the wrestling wrap up. Then, so today being Wednesday, February 21st. Let's take a look back this day in Neat history. History! Let me just take a quick peek at 74, 99, um, 99, and uh, 84. Okay. So, first off, I'm going to head back 50 years ago today. As on this date, 50 years ago today, so I bring it up here, the 25th issue of Weird War Tales from DC, known then as National Periodical Publications, went on sale on newsstands on this date back in 1974. It sold for 20 cents for 32 pages. The two stories featured in it were Black Magic, White Death, so which was a 10-pager written by George Cashton and with art by Alfredo P. Alcala. And then the backup story in that was another 10-pager, The Unseen Warriors, written by George Cashton and art by Alex and Nino. So back in 1974, the 25th issue of Weird War Tales went on sale on this date 50 years ago today. Moving ahead to 1984, on this date, 1984, 40 years ago today, um, Wonder Kids OVA Lolita anime was released on this day back in 1984, 40 years ago today. Lolita Anime is a collection of adult original video animations, or OVAs, produced by Wonder Kids. It contains many notable firsts, as the first erotic original video animation depicting hentai scenes, um, which include Yuri, BDSM, and lolicon characters. It ran from February 1984 to May of 1985, consisted of 6 episodes.
Yeah, and
So,
you gotta love it. It's produced by a company called
Wonder Kids,
Wonder
yeah,
Kids. A little ironic.
yeah,
Yeah. Kids and
but
then it's adult stuff.
so 40 years ago today, the Wonder Kids OVA Lolita anime was released um, on this date 40 years ago today. So now, moving ahead to 1999, 25 years ago today, on this date in 1999, WCW held its ninth Super Bowl event from the Oakland Arena in Oakland, California. The main event on the night saw Hulk Hogan retain the WCW World Heavyweight title over Ric Flair. Bill Goldberg defeated Bam Bam Bigelow. Scott Hall defeated Roddy Piper for the WCW United States Heavyweight Championship. Scott Steiner retained the WCW World Television Championship over Diamond Dallas Page. Um, the Outsiders, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, with Miss Elizabeth and Lex Luger in their corner, defeated Rey Mysterio and Conan in a hair versus mask match in terms of it was Miss Elizabeth's hair versus Rey Mysterio Jr.'s mask. So the loser would lose something basically. Um, in this case, it was Rey Mysterio and Conan, and Rey Mysterio lost his. That's why towards at the end of his WCW career, um, he went maskless, and then WWE just allowed him to have the mask back on. You know, But that's
Well,
another decision for another.
I'm glad they were the ones to lose, and he lost his mask, and it'd be a shame if Miss Elizabeth lost her hair.
Yeah. In the finals of the WCW World Tag Team Championship Double Elimination Tournament, Kurt Hennig and Barry Windham defeated Chris Benoit and Dean Malenko to become the WCW World Tag Team Champions in 20 seconds. Billy Kidman retained the WCW World Cruiserweight title over Chavo Guerrero Jr. So those are some of the main matches there. And 1999 is just so nice that we're gonna hit it
Yes.
twice. As we do have another thing that happened on this date in 1999. I will get to that in a moment here. As also on this
And
date in 19... Oh, go ahead, Rick.
I was just going to answer Goodnight's question. I don't know why, and we're only less than 2 months in, so hopefully not everything's going to be about that.
Okay. Yeah. So, anyways, um, well, again, just the left is pushing a lot of their stuff. So, and trying to take advantage of the impressionable minds of kids. That's why. So, anyways, on this date, 25 years ago today, back in 1999, um, Cinar Corporation's The Little Lulu Show, um, an animated series based on Marjorie Henderson Butler's comic character Little Lulu, um, ended on this date in 1999, 25 years ago today. The Little Lulu Show, produced by Cinar Corporation, up in Canada, ended its series on this date in 1999. And just to kind of add on to what Rick was saying, not everything we cover here will be about the P word. Good night, Spoon. Okay. In fact, tomorrow night, very likely we'll be talking. Actually, we'll be going over the Indie Comic Showcase on the site we were on tonight, Bleeding Fool. We'll be going over that most likely tomorrow night. So, but with that, I thank everybody for being here tonight. Um, and I guess good night, Spoonhead. I'm glad they're getting caught, but it's disappointing they exist to begin with. I don't know about you, Rick, but I agree with that statement. Do you?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyways, before we head out, and we have one more. Let's see, Silver Lining, Florida, and another state um, instituted the death penalty for young lovers. 2024 is
I
going.
wouldn't call that young lovers, but sure.
Well, I was trying to find a euphemism, Rick. Okay, maybe that wasn't the best one, but
I know that's what you're trying to do.
yeah,
You succeeded well. Fine. Good try.
yeah.
Good try.
All right. So, anyways, before we head out, Rick, was there anything you wanted to close out with? Do an outro, promote anything?
Well, just two things. For those that aren't, which I think everybody here is, go check out or go subscribe to my channel. And if you haven't, check out my latest vid. Although it might end up being irrelevant because if I get a job that I might be getting or I might have, I'm not sure. I might end up hiring an artist for Canadian Shield 3. But in the meantime, go to Fund My Comics and check out The Great Cyclopean number 7. It is a good book. I haven't read it yet, but The Great Cyclopean itself is a good book. I've read 3 or 4 of the issues. I'm going to read the rest.
All right. And also, just to promote something with Rick, and I'm sure Goodnight Spoon, when you hear this, you'll probably want to be back here on Friday as well, because Rick will be joining me on Friday, this Friday, our weekly look at, comics history. As this week we'll be focusing on books that went on sale in January of 1940, focusing in on quality comics. So we'll be looking up features such as The Clock, who on this channel we have affectionately called over time Captain Napkin Face. Doll Man, of course, Black X, and Invisible Hood. So hopefully we'll see you all back here on Friday when Rick is back here with me again. This time covering, going over and reading books
Comic
from
books, reading some comic
older.
books.
Well, Rick, you want? Well, normally I would do it, but Rick, since your people are here tonight, you want to tell them about what we do on Fridays? What we do on my channel on Fridays?
Well, Fridays normally Mike has a comic retrospect, which basically means he goes way back and reads comics, and he's been reading them systematically in order from basically when the comics began, and he's now in February or January of 1940.
Well, we're finishing up January. We got a couple more weeks in January here, like this week and next week, and then starting on the 8th, we'll be starting February of 1940. And
Okay, so right now he's reading through various comic companies. He focuses on one comic company a week for a particular month and year. Right now, it's what he said, the comic company that he said in
quality
January
comics.
of 1940. Quality Comics in January of 1940. What time? It will be starting at the same time as this, so 8 o'clock, right? Yeah.
Well, 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Of course, 6 o'clock
Okay,
Pacific, 7 p.m. Mountain, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, and I believe
yeah.
10 p.m. Atlantic. So,
Spoon is I know in Eastern time zone, so 9 o'clock,
so
9
it'd be
p.m.
9 o'clock with them. So, and I'm sure that when you send out the link in on X, Rick, he'll get it, and he'll probably be joining us then.
No, well, he got it because I put it on my community board,
Okay, on your
my
Discord.
community tab. No, on Twitter or YouTube.
Okay, all
I
right.
shared it on my.
All
I'm
right. Well,
pretty
with
sure
that,
that.
and I thank everybody for being here. We'll be back here tomorrow. I've already have a guest scheduled. It's Apex from Apex Comics. But once again, be joining me tomorrow. We'll most likely be going over the Indie Comic Showcase from Bleeding Fool, unless of course he doesn't. I haven't. I would have if he had it up already. I would have seen it on there as we were reading there, but I don't think he's if he doesn't do one, we might do other news stories. But basically, it'll
Yeah,
be
I think
back
that's supposed to
tomorrow
come
with
out
more
every
news
Thursday.
with and Apex from Apex Comics will be joining me then, and then of course Rick will be joining me on Friday. So with that, I thank everybody for being here. I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow.
Forever. It's only a day
Bye.
away.